Welcome, weebs, gamers, and nerds alike. Who doesn't enjoy fantasy? From the amazing J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series to D&D to Narnia and Harry Potter, everyone has wondered what it would be like to be an elf or a dwarf, wield magic, and live in a mystical medieval land. Of course, anime in recent years has filled the genre with isekai seasonal slop, which, don't get me wrong, I do love. But it's hard to find something that's just pure fantasy. But when you do, those series provide some of the best shows you've ever seen. So in today's video, we go over 10 of the best pure fantasy anime out there. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more key content. Without further ado, let's get into the list. Of course, kicking off this list, we have Frieren. You can't talk about fantasy anime and not mention one of the juggernauts that have helped popularize pure fantasy and not your run-of-the-mill isekai fantasy, which, don't get me wrong, as I mentioned before, I do love my isekai, but pure fantasy is very, very refreshing. Frieren is more about the journey than the destination, as we follow the elven mage Frieren learning about time and the true meaning and power it has, how to make relationships and realize what she had in her original party, all but too late. And so on her new journey to reach the far north and speak to Himmel's ghost, she doesn't take time for granted and tries to help out everyone she can, and enjoy the time with her new party members Fern and Stark, who both grow and change as we progress through the show. There's some hilarious moments and also some really sad emotional ones as well. The show is very much about the side quests, from helping clean a statue to dealing with a nest of dragons. While these seem random at first glance, they all help push the story forward and don't feel unnecessary at all. There's also aren't that many fights, but when there are, the animation is some of the best we've ever seen. They go so unnecessarily hard, especially for a non-action based focused series, with some of the best soundtracks we've ever heard. I know some people don't want to watch it because it's too mainstream, but it's popular for a reason and definitely worth a watch. You can't have one without the other, so obviously we're going to talk about Delicious in Dungeon next. This one holds a very special place in my heart, since it's the first anime that my girlfriend and I watched together, and she absolutely loved it and was so sad to hear there's no current release date for season 2. But that doesn't mean it's not worth watching. The main cast of characters are also unique, quirky, and fun, with the pragmatic yet occasional whimsical Marcel, to the dungeon monster-loving Laios, to the cynical yet deeply caring Chilchuck, to everyone's favorite goofy odd dwarf Senshi. Their dynamic is so amazing, and while most of the time it's goofy, funny, good times, there are a lot of more darker, surreal, and intense scenes, especially as the secrets of the dungeon start getting unraveled. But of course, the biggest draw of this show is the cooking. They make so many good meals in this show that look so damn tasty, and they walk you through how to make it like you're doing on a cooking show. I mean, who doesn't want to try Spectre sorbet or grilled cockatrice? It also doesn't hurt that the animation is done by Studio Trigger, who are insanely talented. So while there is no season 2 yet, it's still worth watching, as season 1 has both an amazing sub and dub and is just downright so much fun. Now we have Ancient Magus Bride. If you want a pure fantasy romance, this is probably the best one out there that deserves so much more attention than what it gets. We see Chisei Hattori, who has lived a life full of neglect and abuse, devoid of anything resembling love. Just when all hope seems lost, a fateful encounter awaits her when a man with the head of a beast, wielding strange powers, obtains her through a slave auction. Chisei's life will never be the same again. Well, yes, initially you could argue this might have some Stockholm Syndrome, but it grows past that and very quickly. And what we see grow and blossom between Chisei and Elias is so wholesome and just feels real. Chisei's reactions to the different fantastical things and helping Elias find some humanity and not feel like a beast or a monster really feels authentic and really is a testament to the great writing in both the story and the characters. Season 2 dives even deeper into Chisei's character development and really solidifies this as not only an underrated romance, but a phenomenal show definitely worth checking out. And to top it all off, of course, it's animated by Studio Wit. Love this pick or hate it. Next up, we have Demon Slayer. This one also holds a special place in my heart, as it was one of the first anime I watched with friends, and was one of the first ones I watched with Brendan/Buff and BBQ. While a lot of people like to make fun of the series for either not deserving fantasy anime of the year, which granted it definitely might not have, and I do agree with people like Garnt on that, or that it's carried by the animation, which I do disagree with. This show actually has helped put anime front and center in the mainstream media. I mean, hell, both of its movies have grossed over $500 million. Infinity Castle grossed over $740 million. The story is pretty simple, as it follows Tanjiro's journey to turn his sister from a demon back into a human by joining the Demon Slayer Corps and either finding a cure or defeating Muzan. The story and characters are all actually pretty interesting, and you get extremely invested. The soundtrack is insane, both gorgeous melodies and exhilarating scores. When Tengen fights Gyotaro, everyone in the room was on the edge of their seat cheering, and then just silent awestruck by the insane animation. Speaking of which, UFO Table has given some of the best animation we have ever seen and have helped make huge advancements in CGI, as shown with the explosion scene in Season 4. While this show is not making huge strides or changing the world with its story, it is still amazing, 100% worth watching, especially the final 2 movies coming out over the next couple of years. Next, we have Ranking of Kings. This is probably a lot of people's favorite, and understandably so. Heck, it is without a doubt one of the most underrated fantasy and just anime out there in general. It has immaculate world building with plenty of political intrigue between warring countries and internal strife as kings are ranked by power. It has a great soundtrack by Mayuko, and one of the most heart-melting must-protect characters of all time in Boji. Prince Boji is unable to hear, speak, or wield a sword, and he doesn't seem like a typical heir to the throne, and his kingdom agrees, but his fateful encounter with Kage, a shadow on the ground, gives him his first true friend. The two set off on a grand adventure and together form a bond that can overcome any obstacle, even being king. There's amazing character development as you see not only Boji grow and get stronger, more capable, and ready to take the throne, but with a wide cast of side characters too. The animation by Wit Studio is unique and really just straight up pleasant to look at, and it's easy to see why so many people really love this series. Next up, we have one of the more recent ones. We have Sentenced to be a Hero. This took, I think, everyone by surprise with how amazing this was from episode 1 to the end of season 1, as we were hooked with its amazing animation by Studio Kai, designs, plot twists, and interesting characters both main and side. This offers a kind of a new take on the hero subgenre, where being a hero is actually the worst punishment out there. For those convicted of heinous crimes, they are sentenced to become a hero and forced to enter the mandatory military service in the war against the Demon Lords. These convicts are not even allowed to die. If killed, they'll just be resurrected to fight another day. Hero Xylo Forbarts, former head of the Order of the Holy Knights, leads a penal unit of deplorables fighting on the front lines. It's in these direst of circumstances that he meets Terrorita, one of the world's strongest weapons. We loved learning about all of the heroes and how they ended up with the hero service penalty, some being a little lesser like Dota to the more extreme cases like the main character Xylo or Sav. We got an insane twist at the end of season 1 that really went and made us excited for season 2. We want to learn more about Rhino and his whole story. The animation was outstanding and was insanely consistent throughout the entire run, allowing this to really hold its own when other juggernauts like JJK, Hell's Paradise, and hell, even Frieren were also airing at the same time. Sentenced to be a Hero is such a great dark fantasy with a fresh story, definitely worth your time watching. Next up, we have Danmachi, or Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Okay, you gotta hear me out on this one. Like, seriously, it's a lot better than it sounds. Some adventurers delve into the sprawling labyrinths beneath the city of Aurora to find fame and fortune. Others come to test their skills against the legions of monsters lurking in the darkness below. However, Belle Cornell's grandfather told him a different reason. It's a great place to rescue and subsequently meet girls. Now that Belle's a dungeon delver himself, the ladies he's encountering aren't the helpless damsels in distress he'd imagined, and one of them, a beautiful swordsman named Ice Wallenstein, keeps rescuing Belle instead. As embarrassing as that is, it's nothing compared to what happens when goddesses and gods get involved. The gods all have their own familiars or clans of people that follow them. Each character is a lot deeper than you'd expect, with hidden motivations, reasons for helping Belle, desires, etc. And speaking of Belle, his development from the weak, helpless character to a strong, sought-after fighter who is able to even help entire species survive or escape the dungeon is insane. This is so much more than your typical ecchi show with deep plots, fun stories, and oh yeah, surprisingly really good animation by JC Staff of all people. Next, we have one that's on everybody's list. We have Magi. If you've been in the anime space for a little bit, you've definitely heard of this series, as it's a very underrated one that deserves a lot more attention, and even if you haven't heard of it, now is as good of a time as any to check it out. This is one of the best magic systems in anime, with the genies and magics, and that they give people who conquer the tower that they're in. We follow Aladdin, who is a boy who has set out to explore the world after being trapped in a room for most of his life. His best friend is a flute with a djinn in it named Ugo. Soon enough, Aladdin discovers he's a Magi, a magician who chooses kings, and he was born to choose kings who will follow the righteous path, battling against those who will destroy fate. He meets others from the 1001 Arabian Nights like Alibaba and Sinbad and fight to keep the balance of the world in check. The world building in this is insane, well done as they build up different nations, how they interact with each other, have their own internal strifes, try and work with or deceive other nations to accomplish their goals. As one of the coolest and most ridiculously overpowered characters in Sinbad, who's conquered the 7 dungeons, kinda think of him like a Gojo kind of character. The animation by A1 Pictures, which is the same studio behind the recent smash hits Fate, Strange Fake, and Solo Leveling, is amazing. And I truly wish we had more of this than there are, as there's only 2 seasons out right now. Next up, we have Mashle. This is one of the first manga I actually read, and so when this was announced to get an anime adaptation, I was stoked. 2 seasons later, with a 3rd on the way, and I can honestly say this is a fantastic fantasy comedy series. The story is about Mash Burndead, who can't use magic in a magic-dominated society. Everyone can use magic, and how much or how strong their magic is determined by how many lines are on their face. So instead of using magic, Mash trained, and we mean trained. He can do the da-da Rasputin while spinning a couple tons on his finger, trained. Until one day, on his quest for his favorite food, cream puffs, he gets found out and now, after humiliating the police investigator by playing volleyball with his magic, has to go to Hogwarts and become a divine visionary. The comedy in this never fails to land. The voice acting is superb, the animation, yet again done by A1 Pictures, is solid, and it has not only one of the best openings of all time with Bling Bling Bong, but also one of the best endings in Cho Cream Funk. I mean, how can you not love an overpowered meathead who loves cream puffs and his family and friends, and if anything endangers them, especially the cream puffs, nothing will stop his vengeance. Last, but definitely not least, we have the reason for this video in Witch Hat Atelier. As of recording, this only has 5 episodes out, but even after those 5 episodes, this is already shown to be one of the best fantasy anime out there and already in contention for Anime of the Year. I mean, hell, when you pair up with the gorgeously stunning visuals by Bug Films, who, by the way, have only ever worked on one other anime before this in Zom 100, Yuka Kitamura, the person who made the music for Dark Souls and Elden Ring, and an outstanding source material, you get something magical. We follow Coco, who loves magic, and after one day when a witch comes to her little town and helps some nobles, she finds out how magic is actually done. She then tries it with a book a creepy hobo gave her and accidentally turns her mother to stone, and now she has to learn how to be a witch so she can save her mother. Kiefer is such a different and deep and interesting character, especially with his connection to the Brimcaps, the bad group of this world, all of the other people at the atelier, the magic system being so unique, but the fact literally anyone can use magic. All you have to do is know how to draw the symbols. But nonetheless, Witch Hat Atelier is something special, and there's a reason it's up there with Frieren and Dungeon Meshi as some of the best fantasy out there. And that wraps up our list for the best fantasy anime of all time. Of course, we did leave off a lot of shows, so let us know in the comments what your favorite fantasy anime are. Make sure to check us out on Twitch and TikTok for more geeky goodness. Make sure to subscribe for more geek content. And until the next video, keep on geeking on.